What is geometry? I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. And that's because geometry involves skills that are essential for your entire life. And so let's take a look at why these skills are so essential. 10 shocking reasons why geometry is important for your life. Spatial understanding. Spatial understandings are necessary for interpreting, understanding, and appreciating our inherently geometric world. So this is a photograph of a bridge in France. It's in Provence, France. And just notice all of the geometric structures and geometric descriptors that we could use to describe that bridge. Right? You see some shapes there. Right? Notice some of those shapes have some relationships between other shapes in this diagram, in this photograph. Numbers and measurements. When we know how to apply and understand the relationship between shapes and sizes, we will be better prepared to use them in our everyday lives. Geometry will assist us in doing that because it provides the knowledge of how to deal with measurements and relationships of lines, angles, surfaces, and solids. So here we have a picture, and that picture is of a bridge, and this is a photograph. Right? So the photograph is not the same size as the bridge. 503 meters on the bridge equals 620 pixels, which makes 1 pixel equal to 0.81 or 81 hundredths meters. Right? So notice here we can see how many pixels are in each section of the bridge. What does that translate to in terms of the real life size of the bridge? Right? So the green there, so it's showing you it's 503 meters. It's showing you different measurements. And we can convert the measurements for the actual bridge into the measurements that are on the photograph, or vice versa. Right? It might be easier to take the measurements that are on the photograph and convert that to the actual bridge. Right? So this is an example of a scale model, and we'll be working with scale this year in geometry and finding out measurements. Visual ability. Visual spatial skills are of great importance for success in many tasks in everyday life. For example, using a map to guide you through an unfamiliar city, merging into high-speed traffic, and orienting yourself in your environment as when you're learning your way around a new school building are all activities that involve spatial ability. Other examples of tasks requiring visual spatial ability include packing, as when you must decide if a certain box is large enough for the objects you want to put it in, and using mirror images, as when you're combing your hair while looking into a mirror. Want to make that more challenging? Try to see the back of your head and then look through a mirror of a mirror. And every time you move right, it looks like you're moving left, and vice versa. Right? And try and figure out how to manipulate that visual spatial image. Right? So there are many things in our daily life we really couldn't get around. We couldn't get around our house. We couldn't get around in the world if we could not interpret visual spatial input. So here we have a car. There's a green car over there, and it is trying to merge onto the road there. It has to determine how much space it's going to take for it to merge onto the road, how much space the other cars need, how fast will that car be in their lane, and how much time do they have. And that's all visual spatial skills. Right? So extremely, extremely important if you want to drive a car, comb your hair, or just make your way through a building. In the workplace, analysis of 2- and 3-dimensional shapes and a study of geometric relationships are used in fields ranging from architecture to landscaping. An ability to specify locations and describe spatial relationships is used in everything from navigation to shipping, transportation, and construction. Transformations in symmetry are useful in a range of products, from packaging to artistic expression. The programming of computer graphics and the intuitive interface with computers that we all depend on were made possible through geometry. In sports, an understanding of angles might allow a baseball player to better catch or hit a ball farther. In weaving and sewing, aesthetics can, of course, be increased by using geometric design, but other designs can be introduced, perhaps increasing sales for a new clothing designer. That was a pretty extensive list of different fields that use geometry. There are just many, many fields. And even if people don't use geometry directly, they use it indirectly based on the products that other people have created. Here we have a ship, and it is detecting where there is water underneath some different layers of rock and sediment. And it can tell based on the way that the sound waves bounce off. They'll bounce off differently off the rock than they will the water. Right? And that's how it can tell. It's looking for where water and gas is located. Could be either one. I don't know whether it's looking for the water or for the gas or the oil. Probably the oil. And so that's how they can tell where it is located. Right? Because you can't just keep digging holes until hopefully you find it. That would be very, very impractical, right? And very, very expensive. So here they're looking for the oil based on the sound waves. Right? So that involves geometry. We've got angles, and using angles to determine measurements. And we'll be doing similar problems in geometry this year. Just in my personal life, I like to make jewelry, and that it's called, the method that I use is called kumihimo, and that involves a lot of mathematics and geometry to be able to create the designs, to make them to make everything fit together, to make it sturdy enough, and to make it look nice as a necklace or bracelet. Full use of brain capacity. Geometry helps you bring both sides of your brain. In other words, not just be a left brain thinker, but also a right brain thinker. The left brain is the more logical, technical field, whereas the right brain is the part that visualizes and where the artist gets their creative inspiration from. Not many people have the ability to make the two connect and work together as one. Geometry will assist in doing that. And I've been teaching geometry now for almost 20 years, and I think that just having done that has really helped me bring both sides of my brain together, because I am a little bit more of a left brain thinker than a right brain thinker, but geometry really does help develop that right brain side of you. Creative use of geometry. Geometry was used to construct man-made wonders of the world. Without the use of geometry, these wonders would only have stayed ideas and dreams. Architects use the same geometric creativity today when they design structures. Right? And that might be something that you can, as you're going around town, you can look for. What kind of, what kind of structures did the architects use to make the buildings not only structurally sound, but aesthetically pleasing? These are extremely sturdy structures, these pyramids. They have been standing for thousands of years, and other than a little tiny bit of erosion, they are pretty much intact. So that's one incredible building. 3D thinking. 2- and 3-dimensional shapes are originated in geometry. The use of triangles and other shapes strongly influence this. In the fields of television, movies, and even little things like puzzles or books are all influenced by geometry. So here we can see how the 2-dimensional image created on a computer became that 3-dimensional object, which was the table. Right? And that's how 3-dimensional objects are designed using what's called computer-aided design. Right? You're able to use computers to create a 2-dimensional image and then turn that into a 3-dimensional image. Logical reasoning. When you learn to use geometry, you also learn to think logical. This is very important in everyday life. as not everything is easy and understandable. When thinking logically, many difficult problems can be erased and simple solutions can be found. To reason logically is one thing that you learn in geometry. By applying geometry, students learn to think outside the box. The same solutions can be applied to many other areas of your life. So what you learn in geometry, you may not realize it, is going to be a lifelong skill for you. Preparation. Geometry is a good training ground for students to make use of concrete materials and activities. Those same experiments now will become the stepping stones later in life. It will prepare you to use many different types of materials and textures together in fluent harmony. Okay, so geometry in real life. And I believe, that is the end of my video. So thanks for watching and learning all about what is geometry. Bye for now.